Here we go. Check, check, 1, 2. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Private Club Radio. I am your new host, Denny Corby. We are going to find out where Gabe has been, what's going on with the show, and who I am. Welcome back to Private Club Radio. So before we get to the chat where I get to sit down with Gabe and hear all about what he has going on, the cool stuff going on in his world, just want to tell you who I am and what is next with the channel. So I am a previous guest of Private Club Radio. I'm Denny Corby. I travel the country doing a stand-up magic and comedy show, primarily in the private club world. I've gone by the club entertainer. Some of you may have had me at your club, probably some friends listening in. Hello. And some of you may have even heard about me before. Been on a couple cool TV shows, including Penn and Teller Fool Us. Been on the show talking about ways to do really fun, cool, and unique member events with Gabe in the past. And I was trying to figure out what was been going on. I haven't heard anything from the podcast. Reached out to Gabe and saw he was busy with some other things, some other projects, which you'll be hearing about in a second. And I thought, he and I chatted, let's bring back Private Club Radio. So I am here to bring it back. I absolutely love the private club community, and I just want to provide as much value as I can back to everybody. So I am also brand new to this, so please be very patient with me as we are all going to be learning together. You're all going to be learning with me together. So sit back, relax, and let's hear what's going on with Mr. Gabriel Aloisi. Yeah, dad sold. So now I have to do magic. You know what I mean? Like there's no going back at this point. It's all or nothing. So
yeah, right. Haven't heard the paper now.
Exactly. And you're out of Tampa. I don't want to know if that's going to be in there, but my dad just bought a place down in Venice.
Fantastic. That's a great spot, man. And I think obviously they were okay with the hurricane and stuff that came through.
So. I'll just make a note. I'll edit this out. Oh, and then also I have a little button. I can hit mark. So then when I go into edit, it has all the mark pins. Oh, so nice. You're not trying to scroll through.
That's smart. Are you doing it yourself, or are you going to hire an editor?
I mean, cool. It's really all on the platform. You just go in and then you can just delete the stuff. And then once you have everything that's all the stuff laid out, you just export.
Nice. One of these days, you're going to get one of those guests that's like, okay, every other word, and you're going to have a lot of marks on there.
It's more like the longer pauses that really kill me. But yeah, so my dad, he's been looking for a place, and he found one in Venice, and he found it because they were under contract. Like they put a deposit down. The hurricane came, they got spooked, left their deposit and just dipped. But the house was fine. Yeah. So one day we just went down to look at it, and I was like, oh, he goes, yeah, I'm just going to tear it down.
The old knockdown, the old Florida knockdown.
Dude, the property's beautiful though. It's it's probably half a mile from Venice Yacht Club. It's literally right on the main beltway.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's one of those two, I don't blame them. Obviously it's expensive, but the property was two different. It was one house, then they built on, and it's just it's not utilized, the space. It's just one of those. You just
Yeah.
But I'm don't have to get a place now.
That's cool.
So yeah, what's been going on with you? Catch us up. You got Let's Play Through, which is absolutely amazing, and that's blown up really the past couple of years, if not less. So, and you start that, was it right during the pandemic or right before?
Yeah. So, I was, because of Private Club Radio and all the wonderful people I got to meet and things I got to learn about it, I wrote a few books for the private club world, The Definitive Guide to Membership Marketing. And I think you've got Plutonium. Oh, there you go. Yep. And the Plutonium ABC, there we go. The ABCs of Plutonium Private Club Leadership. So that was really a labor of love of Michael Crandall, who's an awesome guy. Been one of the best guests on this show for many, many years. But because of that, I was speaking around the world, and I had access to these clubs. And, for us, we kind of take it for granted in the club business, but we get to go into some places that are extremely exclusive. People would dream to just walk through those doors. And so when I was doing that, I said, well, hey, I'm already out here. I've already got a camera. I've got, never mind, we all have a phone, and want to just kind of capture the experience, whether it's for my kids someday or for, grandchildren or for other people in the industry or for people who are just golfers and love to see these places. So that's when I started the show, like 2018. I was starting to think about it, and I started really recording episodes in 2019. And with the pandemic, things changed really drastically. Obviously, in the beginning, the club business, people were extremely nervous. Me owning a marketing agency in the club industry, it was an interesting time because first everyone stopped marketing completely, even though we had contracts, things like that. But I wasn't going to hold people's feet to the fire. It was extremely difficult circumstances for everyone. And then the golf business boomed, and so, clubs were much less reliant on needing marketing and membership development because their doors were full. So the show morphed at that point. Yeah. And I'm really, I've always been passionate about helping people, whether it's in the club business, whether it's in golf. And now I get to help people choose what best golf equipment to buy. And I really love doing that.
I remember when I was, it was like researching more. I saw the one. Did you go in and buy like every product in Costco, like one of every golf product they had?
I did, yes. In fact, I got a comment on one of my videos. The guy said, "Hey, have you checked out the Costco wedges?" Which I didn't even know Costco. So I knew they had golf balls, but that's the extent of what I knew Costco stocked. I took my kids, and it was a very easy to make video. Literally shot it on my cell phone, brought my kids. We bought, hot dogs for $1 and things at Costco. But then I loaded up my cart with all the golf stuff. And those videos, that was an extremely big boost to my channel. And that was probably June 2020, May 2020, somewhere around there. And my channel just really exploded. And it was the best possible time because, I had been struggling between the agency and the YouTube channel at that point. And that was really the catalyst to take our show in a different direction.
So cool.
I love Costco, huge Costco.
If Costco's listening to this podcast, Gabe loves you.
In fact, they're releasing a new set of golf clubs, just hit the conforming list. So I'm chomping at the bit for those. Yeah.
Can I please have them? Please, 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 please,
yeah.
please, please. Do you remember what video started the incline? Like, I mean, obviously, it all starts, but was there one that you remember that really took it off?
That video, and it didn't happen right away either. It took about 21 days. Like I said, I think I released it in May, and I think in June is when it just started to skyrocket, and it was crazy. I was getting 500 to 750 subscribers every day or more, and then
wow,
I went from like 2,000 views to like 20,000 views a day. So it was a massive.
Wow. Those are big numbers.
And the other golf people, vloggers and people I knew that I would network with, they're like, "Are you paying for that? Are you SEO?" But I wasn't. It just was all organic. It was just people. It struck a nerve with people. And I think it was the right time. Like, people were tightening their wallets, and they wanted something affordable, and people were just getting started and they didn't know where to start. Obviously you don't want to go out and buy a $3,000 set of golf clubs, but if you can buy a $500 set of golf clubs and they perform pretty well for a beginner, hey, that's a sweet spot.
Yeah. I think probably a lot, like I would never think, I'm slowly starting to get back into golf. I tried years ago. I was really bad, so I just kind of let it go. And then I hurt my back pretty bad, so I've been a little cautious of the movements that I do. But looking at, I don't think I would ever think to go to like a Costco or a Sam's or like something like that to go get clubs. But it's cool to know that they actually have some decent stuff.
Yeah, no, they do, and it's actually Callaway branded. I mean, they have their own wedges. They have Kirkland signature wedges and a putter, but they have a Callaway set in there. And it's $500. And it was interesting because first I bought all the stuff, and then I got another comment on that video saying, "Hey, have you checked out the Costco Callaway Edge set?" But I hadn't, obviously, and I didn't see it in the Costco I was at, and I went to all the Costcos. And so people love going on a journey, so I filmed myself going to all these different Costcos, striking out. And then another listener or another viewer of the show was like, "Oh, they have them down in Fort Myers. There's 5 left." So I hopped in my car, drove down to Fort Myers, like a 2.5-hour drive down there, and I found them. And anyway, it's interesting. I think I mean, I think that's the lesson probably for folks, not only who are content creators or YouTubers, but really in any industry, is just to have your pulse and your ear to the ground of what's happening, because I could have easily not read the comments. A lot of YouTubers don't bother to read the comments. But I do. I take the time to look at every single one. And because of that, I've had all the best videos I've ever produced in terms of viewership, all came from the comment sections. And so, again, taking it back into our world of private clubs, so many managers are just sitting in their office, right? And when you're in your office, you can't have your ear to the ground. I mean, people come and they tell you their agenda, or they send you an email and that's their agenda. But if you can get out there, get into the restaurant, get into the bar, meet the members, get into the pro shop, shake hands with people as they're coming through, and just have conversations, I think it's so valuable what you can learn and what you can kind of feel out from the members that way.
The word that comes to mind is engagement. That's all it is just having that engagement. Then once the ball starts rolling, it just picks up more and more,
right.
And obviously with social media, it's not an immediate thing it's going to take, but you just spend 5-10 minutes just commenting, replying, engaging, posting, even if it's not the most amazing stuff, but like once a day, once every other day, just having that ball going.
Right.
Yeah, I was just talking with Mr. Michael Liamuez, and we were talking about some cool stuff, and he was pretty much talking about the same thing, just like, head to ear to the ground, being, the face, being out there. He was saying how one club he was at, he was general manager in his suit, and his golf people were saying it was taking 15 to 20 minutes to clean a golf cart. And he goes, no, it takes about 5-7, and that's like a good job. And
right.
they're like, no, it takes 20 minutes. Right. And he goes, I took off my jacket, undid my tie, and I showed him in 5 minutes. He goes, but I would have not done that if I haven't kept my ear to the ground, if I haven't done things and engaged and done
That's
things
a great
like
point.
that.
There's probably so many little pieces of productivity that you can, as a manager, you probably either worked in that role in the past, or you at least know that department well enough to just take the reins and show people how to be a little bit more efficient at their job. Yeah.
It's so I do a lot of clubs or a lot of shows at clubs as well, and I'm a big part of the club world. I always enjoy going on people's LinkedIn profiles and seeing their backgrounds, because to me it's almost like you see the people who like just got in the clubs, how far into their lives. You see the kids or the people who got in from high school and start off as back of house whatever, and then got up to GM.
Right.
It's really neat. So how did you originally get into the club world?
Yeah, that's a good question. To be honest, I've never had a formal job at a country club. So my background is my father was a club professional at clubs up in the Northeast in Massachusetts, and I always just loved golf. I was passionate about golf, and I was the weird kid who liked golf in Baltimore, Maryland, where almost nobody played golf in the 1980s and 90s, right? So really wasn't until like Tiger Woods popped into the scene that people started getting interested in golf again. And at that point, then all my friends started playing golf. They had jobs at all the best clubs in Baltimore. So like the Eagles Nest in Towson and Hayfields and PB Dye out in southwestern Maryland. So again, just loved golf. I was the golf buddy for everyone because I was the one who'd been playing, and they all, eventually some got better than me and became assistant professionals and whatnot. But the only actual jobs I ever had in the club world would be helping out my friends. Like I had one friend who was the night maintenance guy at the Eagles Nest in Towson, Maryland. And I'd mop floors in the club and things like that. That's as close as I ever got to working in a club. But I just always been passionate about golf. It's been my one true love, apart from my kids and my wife, and traveling would probably be on that list as well. But golf really right up at the top. And when I started my marketing business, I think you just sort of, it's what the law of attraction, I guess some people would call it, or whatnot. But whatever it is, I started with a couple local clubs here. Carrollwood Country Club at the time was called Emerald Greens, but they were my first club client. And the club industry being such a tightly knit industry, I was working with the membership director at that club. Then she went to another club, East Lake Woodlands, and I started working with East Lake. Then I worked with all the Club Corp properties in Tampa, and it just snowballed. And I remember just sitting down, looking at my books at the end of the year with my business consultant at the time, and he said, "Well, Gabe, your top 10 clients are all golf and country clubs. You should really just narrowly focus on that. And so that's what I did. We rebranded to the Private Club Agency, and we started working with clubs pretty much exclusively. So I guess that's the trajectory or the journey.
That's awesome.
Yeah, stumbled into it, I guess you could say, right?
Those are my favorite stories because to me, they always end up kind of being some of the most, I don't want to say successful, but it's just, who is it? It's not Michael Pollan. Is it Michael Singer? The Surrender Experiment or the Surrender Project or something.
Right. Yep.
Which is basically the same thing. He was literally a monk. Like this dude was just like meditating all day. He left, got rid of everything, took his like last 15 grand, bought a piece of property, and then learned how to build. So he built like his like little home. And then from there, the neighboring property, the guy saw he was good at that. So then he started a construction business. It ended up, he went from a monk to owning this construction business to then moving on to own, I don't want to say it was QuickBooks, but like one of like the largest accounting softwares, like online platforms.
Right.
But it was, he started off as a monk and just how like, and his whole thing is like, I just surrendered. Like, granted there was more to it, but it was just like, hey, here's where it's going. All right, we'll just kind of own it and see.
Yeah, that's too
crazy stuff.
Dichotomy there in terms of worlds, right? To end up where you ended up, that's crazy.
So funny thing was, I listened to it in the audiobook, and it's a little bit boring because his voice is like a little stagnant. Mm-hmm. But I was listening to it. I heard about it in 2019. And then pandemic hit. So I was going through like my best year ever. Like I was killing it, coming off Penn and Teller, Fool Us. Like it was just going great.
I saw that episode. It was a good job.
Yeah, it was a good time. And 2 months later, everything shut down. But so I was at a bit of, do you know who Vern Harnish is?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He wrote Scaling Up.
Right.
So I was very fortunate to be acquaintances with him. I have a mutual friend who's a lot better friends with him. I got to close out his Scale Up Summit.
Nice.
Which was unreal. One of his partners, we were talking about books and that book came up. Okay, cool. Pandemic hits. My whole business shuts down. I'm flying home from a gig and just everything is canceling. And I'm like, oh no, I was in a bad place. I went to go work for my dad back in the warehouse.
Wow.
Just because I was like, I don't know if it's going to be a month, 2 months.
Right.
I wasn't sure. And it was one of those, hey, I need to keep not sane, but I can't just sit in the house. And B, what if it was 6 months and I just didn't do anything, or a year, and now I don't have to go into investments or savings and things. So I was like, let me just keep the ball rolling, do whatever.
Right.
And I think at that point, after the first week, I got my first check and I was like, nope. Not gonna be doing this. So I was like, literally, I went from doing a show outside of Vegas to sweeping the warehouse.
Wow.
Like it was just one of those like humbling things. But at the same time, during that moment, I was listening to the book as I'm like in the warehouse, and I was wearing a mask in there, not because of COVID, because there was so much dust. And, like, it was so gross.
Factories are smelly too.
So it's distribution. Factory, I maybe would have stayed. No. So I remember listening to the book, I got my check and I was like, you know what? The clubs have always been great. I'm just going all in. And then that's when I messaged you. I was like, can I just get on? I was like, I need to do something. Clubs are not in a good place. Sure. Clubs have to show their relevancy. Like they have to, how are people going to, the things are coming in. Hey, every month they're going to, how do we justify this? So clubs need entertainment. They have to show value.
Right.
So I did a stupid cheap rate to do these virtual shows. And then it was just one of those, I was like, we'll see. I just surrendered.
Right. Well, they were great. I remember we had nothing to do, and my 2 kids were watching your magic show and me at some club in, who knows, Erie, Pennsylvania or someplace.
That was one of the, I think in April, I did like 40 some shows.
Yeah, that's wild.
It was unreal. Though what people don't know is I'm a big fan of commit first, figure the rest out later. So when I did our podcast and promoted the show, I didn't know how to do a virtual show. I didn't have a virtual show set up. I didn't have a studio. I didn't even think anybody was going to buy it.
Yeah.
So I just got you, we got on the thing. And then all of a sudden I'm like in the warehouse working and my phone just starts blowing up. And nice. I was like, oh no. Yeah. So they were like, when can you do your first one? And I was like, next week. They're like, when? I was like, April 1st. I was like, why not? If it's going to be bad, it's going to be April Fool's Day. Like, let's just do it all. I took really good clients, like friendly clients. I did like the first day, and I told them, I was like, hey, listen, like, this is my first one. So that kind of got the bugs out, but yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So thank you very much for helping me stay afloat.
Hey, well, that's the power of Private Club Radio. We have such a great community of people, and now we've got a new great host in you to take over the show here, which I'm really happy about.
I still remember the first time, this was probably 2017, I think we first got connected, maybe even 16. I know I was doing the podcast, like, oh, there's one for private clubs. And I was listening to yours, and I was like, I'll reach out. He won't have me on. You respond like, yeah, come on. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this was the coolest thing ever.
Oh, man, I love doing the show. People always ask me, like, do you ever get bored of, like, I thought, like, maybe if I'll do 20, 30 episodes, I'll get bored. Nope. Then it was, maybe I'll get to 100 episodes, I'll get bored. Nope. There was always, like, the guests we've had throughout the years and, the people that have come on, and there's always a nugget in every single podcast. There was just something that, like, was like, damn, I didn't think of it that way, or, it's such a wonderful platform. And I think there's very few, like, I mean, you go to the conferences and those are great, but throughout the rest of the year, this is such a great resource for people just to stay up to date on what's happening. And things move so quickly in the private club world as well. And so you can't wait a year until the next World Conference or the next whatever conference. So yeah, it's the guests we've had on, we've been really lucky. And if we pull it back to like how the private club radio started, it was Rick Coyne. So for the folks that have been in the private club world for many, many years, Rick Coyne was a real staple in terms. He started the Professional Club Marketing Association. And what happened was I interviewed Rick, and I said, well, first of all, I got him to come on the show. So he was gracious enough to come on a podcast, which at the time, nobody knew what a podcast really was. I would be at the PCMA conference or CMA, and I'm like, okay, so you download Apple Podcasts, or at the time it was something else, iTunes, and you got to go here to click and you hit subscribe. I was subscribing people like on the show floor. And
that's why it's so big.
But I made it very simple for people, and I said, listen, I'm going to call you. And I used a system, I can't remember the name. It was Skype, actually. But there was an add-on to Skype. And I was like, I'm just going to call you. So I'll call your phone and then just pick up the phone and we'll start talking. And so Rick did it. And then I said, Rick, I'd love to have you as a guest. By the way, Denny, not many people know this, but like I literally had my 10 questions for Rick Coyne. I was nervous as could be. And I was reading every question. So it didn't matter what he said. It was like whatever the next question was on the sheet. It could have been completely off base. There's like no like flow to the show. But anyway, he was great. And I'm like, Rick, you were such a great guest. Is there anyone else you can recommend? And he's like, yeah, John Fernar and this guy. And I think Michael Crandall may have been one of the first people that he recommended. Anyway, and that's what I would do. I'd just like go, hey, and that's again, shows you the type of people that are in this industry, in the private club world. They're all servants, givers, and charitable people by and large. And that's why, again, I enjoyed doing the show for so many years and just getting to hear all the amazing stories and the nuggets, So anyway, that's the full origin story there.
This is probably gonna be the first episode that I air. But at this point I have a bunch banked up, and it was Michael, I think my buddy Lee, I think even Jack, what you said has bid said at least in some way over every episode, which is it's just that one nugget. It's right. Just that little, what do people say? Success leaves clues. Success leaves crumbs. So it's right. One of those, you're just listening for that one little thing that to you is just like, a little morsel that falls out, but someone's like, this is gold. Right. And that's really all it is, especially in the club world. All you need is that one little nugget to change a member's experience to, you just never know how far that little bit goes, especially with social media. Yeah, it's wild how fast stuff travels.
And bringing that full circle to what you were saying, with the manager that helped out the bag room, and getting the carts cleaned. It's like stuff that oftentimes when you've been doing it for 20, 30 years, it's just second nature and it's nothing. Like you probably have some amazing things that, or a way to do something again more efficiently or whatever the case may be that to somebody else could really change them and the way they work or the way they perform. So again, we'll get back to getting out there, getting your ear to the ground, and kind of seeing what's happening around your club. I think is such a big lesson for everyone.
And I think for Michael at this particular instance, it's he started off in a club where he was like a semi golf pro or doing that, but he also had to clean the bathrooms. He had to do all this stuff. So he also like worked his way up. So what he was trying to make a point of too is, not only is he the manager, but now the guys were like, oh, it takes this long. He goes, no, it doesn't. And not just that, but he was able to do it. And when you can show people that you just don't talk the talk, but you can walk the walk, like that's a big deal. Even when I was in high school, so my dad had the paper supply company. So it's like all janitorial supplies, cleaning supplies, also has a facility cleaning company. So he can supply the cleaning products and the cleaning people. So ever since I was 16, I've stripped and waxed floors, cleaned bathrooms, like one of those. But I never told people who I was. I just like showed up.
Sure.
But it's, you just put on the stuff, you just go do like the job. But it's one of those, I think it helped me now appreciate that work that goes into it. Cause like I've been in the position where I just did like a whole bathroom, stripped and waxed, cleaned, and there's all these signs and people still like start walking through like, what are you doing? Like, so it's just, I now show an appreciation more. So like when I see someone like cleaning hard or with something that's really, hey, awesome job. Or, just having that ability to chit chat and interact and engage, keeping your ear to the floor, or whatever the saying is.
Exactly. You can't discount any job in a club. I mean, everything is important. If the members walk in and there's crumbs on the floor from the night before, that's the most important job at the club, right?
Seriously. Well, it's, I was just at Disney. Same thing. There is no like not important job. Everything is there for a very specific reason. I love
Disney. That's one of my favorite brands of all time. And, if people have ever heard my keynotes at some of the conferences or whatever, I always bring Disney up. And yeah, I think their motto is that everything has to walk the walk and talk the talk. To the point even, and I don't know if you know this, Denny, but like, for instance, my kids went to Disney World. My son, I think it was his third birthday, my oldest son now. When he was 3, he met Mickey, and Mickey gave him a birthday card and signed his birthday card for him,
Wow.
And a lot of people don't know this, but they literally train every Mickey to write the signature the exact same way. Did you know that? I'm sure you know probably why they do that, right?
Yeah, but that's amazing.
Yeah, because his friend down the road, when he went and got his birthday card, if they're comparing notes and say, oh, I got a card from Mickey. Oh, yeah, I got a card from Mickey. If they were two different signatures, it would lose the magic, right? So that's how detail-oriented they are. It's insane. In fact, another good one is that they actually have a vice president of parking. Because from the beginning, someone walks into their property, they want to control the experience, and from the moment they leave as well. So, if your last breath at Disney is like, oh, I can't find my car, I'm so frustrated, it's been a long day, it's been hot, and I'm in Orlando. What am I doing in Orlando in the middle of the summer, 100 degrees and full humidity? And that's they don't want you to leave with that, So like. The parking lot actually has numbers and characters because they figure the kids will remember the characters at the very least, right? So like, okay, where do we? I don't remember where we parked. Oh, Daddy, we're in Donald Duck, or Mom, we're in Minnie Mouse, or whatever the case may be. So they think about every single piece of the experience, and again, I think it's worth doing at the club level at a minimum, like once a year. Just walk through the club. Think about the entire experience. Try to experience it through the eyes of a member and see, what is it like? What does it smell like when I walk in this club? What does it look like? What's the first thing I see? Like, I, for many years, like, have found it odd that I walk into clubs all around the country and there's nobody. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, Denny, but like, there's not a receptionist. There's not anyone to greet me. It's a ghost town. I'm looking around. I'm like, where's the opposite? Like, I always think that's such an underutilized experiential point, not only for guests, because obviously a guest needs to know where they're going or needs to figure out what they're doing. And you got guests coming all the time to play golf and tennis and whatever else. But even for the members, like just to have someone like, hey, if you need something, I'm right here, So anyways, Disney, fantastic company. There's so many lessons to learn. There's, in fact, you mentioned Vern Harnish, so he started BNI. Did he start? No, he started Entrepreneur Organization.
EO.
Okay. So anyway, forget that point. But there's a book called Inside the Magic Kingdom, and it's a book I highly recommend every club manager read. It's one of the best reads I've ever had. It's a short book too. It's only, you could read it in a day easily. But just the lessons out of that organization, incredible.
I don't know if it was Crandall's book, The Leadership, or Clubology, the new book. One of them said, if you're a new manager and you come into a club, one of the first things you should do, obviously walk around, do all that stuff, but also look at what needs to be painted, what light bulbs need to be fixed. He goes, because it's also some weird subconscious thing that now there's a new GM and people come in. It's like, oh, and now there's change.
Right.
So it's not just like there's physical, they can see change, not just hear about it and like feel it. They could actually experience the change. And some of those things are just so little, but people, we'll do it tomorrow. Oh, it'll be on a thing for next week. Just change the light bulb. Right. Like just like patch up the hole a little bit, like get like a little bit of paint, like take that crappy chair and just like at least get it out. Like don't leave it there.
It's easy to have really familiarity in your club too. And to not, you have to have a second set of lenses because you get used to stuff. Like you walked into your old grandmother's house, it smelled a certain way and she had probably no idea it smelled that bad, Like I've literally walked into clubs and like there's this like a noxious, gaseous fume. For a year, there was a club in Tampa, and I won't name the club, but I was like, I didn't want to walk in the door because it was like I got hit I'm like, but the people there probably didn't even realize it because they're like there every day. So, anyways, it's good to try to walk instead of walking in your back door straight to your office. Walk through the front door someday at your club or every day, and just experience it. Smell, look, use all of your senses, not even just sight, but sound. What does it sound like in the club? Again, it's all subconscious when you get to delivering that extra level of experience. If you go from a 4-star to a 5-star hotel, what's the difference there? It's the tiny little details. I wish the one regret I have with private club radio is I didn't get to interview this one gentleman I really wanted to interview, and I can't remember his exact name off the top of my head, but he managed the All England Club, and he would say how at the All England Club, which is where they have Wimbledon, they would at the end of Wimbledon every single year, they would all get together, the staff, and literally go point by point about the things that they needed to change for the next year. Now, mind you, Wimbledon's been going on for, 100, 150 years. I don't even know, a lot of years. over 100 years, I'm fairly confident. And they're still making improvements every single year to the point where, like, they'll say, seat in Stadium 2, seat 8, row B, seat 3 is squeaky. We need to get that seat oiled. Like that, or like the temperature in the water fountain was only, and they're using Celsius, right? Like it's only 8 degrees. It needs to be 6 degrees. So we got to get someone to change that. That's the level of minutia that they're looking at. But that's why they're delivering the most exclusive, incredible experience in the world. Not only every year, but to their members. It's if you were to be a member of this club, it's extremely exclusive set of people there. So that's the level of detail. It's those little tiny little details that most people overlook that is really the difference maker.
Yeah, and that's why people pay that premium. That's why people pay the Disney premium. You were talking about scent. I believe it was Disney. You probably know more than me, but weren't they one of the first people, or maybe the only people, who knows, but where they pumped the scent from their bakeries and from the inside of their restaurants and things out to the front, so it would like attract people in, or at least like certain smells they would pull out. Sure, if it was like a chocolate store, they'd pump out like chocolatey smells. If it was like a sugar, they would do certain things. Yeah,
doesn't surprise me. That's awesome.
I could be making that up, but
McDonald's must do it with their French fries, and KFC does it with their chicken for sure.
You could be driving with the windows down, just circulating the air inside the car, not even like outside air coming in. You can still smell it, and it smells so good.
The one thing they'll never change, I think, that's my friend. He owns a bunch of McDonald's. He says, we've changed the chicken nuggets, we changed this and that, but we'll never change the fries. That's their secret sauce. So that's another lesson, I guess, is that you got to have one thing you're known for, one thing that's really special and exclusive to your club. And if you can really play off that, then again, attracting members should be easy from there.
and I don't know why I thought about this, but I think it just sort of just comes all together as well. Talking about, just taking pride, care, the stuff at Wimbledon, like the little chairs. During the Olympics, I don't know if it was the Chinese, the Japanese, one of the teams, they left their like changing room, their like wherever they were playing, cleaner than when they got in. Like really? The whole team, I even think they lost. I think they lost too, wow. And they just they made sure the room was spotless.
Wow, I think I did hear that. It may have been the Japanese team. I'm fairly certain, but that's amazing. Yeah, love that.
But it's just those little tiny details.
Yep. Michael Crandall. The other thing he says is, sure, we want to make the experience incredible, spectacular, exceptional for the members. We want to give them the plutonium private club experience is probably the words he would use. But what Michael did actually, so I visited Michael once in Kansas City. He was the interim manager. What was the name of that club? Well, doesn't matter. But the point is he came in, and one of the first things he actually did was he revamped the staff's room, like their locker room and where they actually had their lunches and things, because it looked dingy. And if you go into a lot of clubs, everything's beautiful on the exterior, and then you go below deck there, things aren't taken care of to the same way at all. And he spent a good amount of money, of the club's money, to renovate those facilities for the staff, so they feel like, hey, this club cares about me. And if a club cares about me like that, they want to deliver the best and most exceptional experience they can deliver to the members as well. And so, yeah, even going through the back rooms and just kind of experiencing the club from the staff's perspective, I think is such a useful thing.
I think he talks about that in his book. There was some point in one of the ABCs talking about that same thing. I didn't read the whole thing fully. There was some stuff I was like, this is not interesting me at the moment, because it's a very big book, but I would skim through. I believe that was one of the points. And, I've been to a bunch of clubs as well, and they're like, oh, here, let me just walk you back through here. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like exactly. It is. And then you walk through some and this is nicer than out there.
By the way, Michael wrote that book to be non-linear, so you can just keep it on your coffee table, keep it at your bedside, really, and just refer to things or just get nuggets from time to time. Yeah, plutonium.club if you want to buy it. That's where you buy that book. Yeah. Yes,
sir. It's a great book. It came quick. It was signed. And what was nice, actually just took out my trash, is to me, I'm all about the details. I love little handwritten notes. I love just little tiny details. What Michael did was he wrote on the packaging, on the back, he put, by the way, page 286 is right up your alley.
Nice.
And I was like, that's just that little. That's what
we're talking about, the personalization.
That's all it takes.
I would handwrite Christmas cards to all my club clients every Christmas. I love to do that. And the ones that were local within at least striking distance, an hour or two, I would hand deliver a basket or something like that to them. And man, business was always good in January because I think those little personal touches people appreciate. Yeah.
My friend who I'm having on, interviewed him, Jack Daly. He's one of the world's top sales trainers, and he has his bag called the money bag, and his money bag is a bank bag, but what's inside is his stationery. Because he goes, that's gotten me the most amount of business and referrals than anything else. It's just a handwritten thank you note. And then he has, it's easier now, but, back more when he was, this was more of a thing. He actually had tons of different ones made, where he had golf ones for his golf people. He had, he's like 70 some and does like Ironmans. Like the dude's a beast. So he has like his Iron Man ones. Then he has like custom stamp. He has all these different ones. But now with the printer and stuff, you can easily just make a nice little custom, front with, even if it's funny and bad, like both, you and like your client's picture together, that's clearly like photoshopped. And it's like, whatever it is, it's just that little bit of effort, that little bit of time, really goes a long way. I've gotten multiple gigs just from people going, classy move, man. Like, you have a good conversation with somebody, boom, like a nice little handwritten note in the mail.
Love that. Absolutely. Who's good at that is Ricky Potts. Ricky.
Yep.
He's the best. Like every time I ever visited him, he'd send me a note, Gabe, thanks for coming to our club today. Like incredible. But like, you can't, that's an unforgettable experience, right? When you get something like that. So yeah. And then I had that same business consultant I was telling you about. His name's Gary. Awesome guy. And Gary, what he would do is he would always do, like, he was old school, so he'd clip newspapers. So, like, he'd be like, hey, I was reading this article, thought that this could be helpful to you or your business or whatever the case may be. And he would get clients that way too. Like, if they were featured in the Tampa Bay Times, he'd clip it out, circle their name or something like, and write something special about them. He got a lot of clients that way too. Yeah.
There's one thing I do and I tell people to do. It's a little time consuming and like a little annoying, but having Google Alerts set up for all of your clients.
Yeah, nice. That's smart. I love that. You can do
so
that
way,
members, right? Feed the member list in. That's smart.
I was just going to say, you put your list in there, and, like, you might, if it's a general name, it might be hard, but, even if it's like their business name, their law firm, whatever it is, if you can, like, oh my, this just popped across my desk, congrats on the thing. Or imagine, like, he came in, he just won some, like, silly award or, whatever they, oh, hey, congrats, sir. Like, here's a glass of wine, whatever it is.
Right.
It's just those little tiny
for people, because it's something, again, small easy for you to do, but to them it's huge. Like, it's, something that was a massive win for them.
It's what people don't remember what you said, but how you made them feel.
I like that. Yeah. What is that? Is that that's an old one? That's from
that's just an old, and it's it's probably
is that
Seneca or something.
I want to say it's gosh, my brain today with names is really bad. They have a whole training for it anyway.
Oh, Dale Carnegie?
Yeah, isn't it a Carnegie?
Is it? I think so.
Could be.
He probably stole it from somebody else too.
We could Google it, but we're too lazy to do that.
Well, then it's going to, like, take away from this, and we don't want to do that. Oh man, I love talking about business and sales and stuff, because really that's what it all boils down to, just really good customer service. So what's on the horizon for you?
Well, it's an exciting year right now for golf. Obviously, this time of year specifically, all the new things are rolling out in February, March, as we are having this conversation. I don't know when it will air, but we're talking here early February. So lots of fun stuff on the horizon, golf technology-wise. And I think managers probably and golf professionals and staff at clubs should probably know about some of these things too. So Rapsodo is releasing a brand new launch monitor. It's only like $700. It looks incredible. It'd be great to have that on your range. All the new clubs are coming out, which I'm sure everyone knows about. And brands we haven't seen in a long time released, like Srixon and Ping, haven't released in a while. So that's exciting. I did just wrap up like a tour of Ireland, where we've been dripping out the videos on the YouTube channel. And gosh, that I love the folks in Ireland and the hospitality there. It's like really unmatched anywhere in the world that I've been. So we got to play, Lahinch, Ballybunny, some of the best golf clubs in Ireland. And we're actually putting together a travel tour in September. So people who, see where I've been will get to the chance to actually do it with me. So the website for that one, since I'm a marketer, I've got to give you the website.
Please do.
It's mygolfgrouptravel.com. Fantastic. If you've been looking to set up tours in Ireland, these guys, I highly recommend them. I was on the trip. Loved it. And then there's actually, if you go to mygolfgrouptravel.com/let's-play-through, you can see more about our trip that we've got planned as well.
And that one's in September?
September, yeah, end of September. So my wife's birthday is on the 23rd. I promised her I would never, ever miss her birthday. It happened once. I had to be at some conference. We may have celebrated her birthday in Thailand or someplace. Anyway, so that will never happen again. So the trip starts, I believe, on the 24th. Had to make sure. But they've got, if you use that website, you get discounts on your booking as well. So
yeah, we'll have you back maybe in a couple months too. We can do the whole episode just talking about that and specifics and details and all that fun stuff.
Talk a lot about Ireland. Yeah, that was a fun time.
What was some of the? You said it's one of the best places, in terms of hospitality and golf. What do you think separates them? What are because it's probably nothing too crazy of a difference. It's probably 1 or 2, maybe even 5% better. Yeah. But what do you think they do that little percentage better that makes you so happy?
I think it's very a personal experience. When you're talking to someone at the club, they really are. You can see there's a genuine interest in you. It's not just you're the 500th person they've seen come through Tralee Golf Club today. It's they want to get to know you. They want to really roll out the red carpet. If there's something that they don't have or something that you need, they would go. Here's a great story. So when I lived in the Philippines, I would go to the local restaurant for lunch or something, and in the Philippines there would be like 5 things on the menu they don't have, and they've only got like 7 things on the menu. Like one day I'm sitting. I really want a coconut shake. Like I just want a coconut shake. It's been hot. I've been playing tennis all day, and I want a coconut shake. So I go to the restaurant, I'm sitting there, and I'm not a diva, and I'm not that kind of person, but. They're like, sorry, sir, I'll have a coconut shake and whatever curry or something I was eating. And no, sorry, sir, we don't have coconut today. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have coconut? You could literally go downstairs. There's 100 coconut vendors on the street. Go send somebody and get me a coconut. Well, in Ireland, they would send someone 30 minutes away to get something, that if you really wanted it that bad. That's the kind of next level type of service that they provide. And they think of things like, when I walked off, there was a golf club we played that most people wouldn't stop at, but I loved it. It's called Killarney Golf and Fishing Club. And at the end of the round, the head pro had ball markers engraved with our names on it, that was just easy for them to do. They probably have a little machine. But, man, I mean, I've got that ball marker. I won't even use that ball marker because I don't want to lose that ball marker because it's just a memory of that cool day, So,
wow.
Yeah, it's just that, again, it's that extra 5%, 10%, like you said. It's
that is good.
It's just thinking ahead. And it may have been Michael that you were speaking about, or one of the other managers down in Boca Raton who they knew the drinks that their members liked, and they'd have a cooler stocked with whatever that was, before. So it's thinking ahead, thinking ahead in the process, and, not being reactive, but being proactive in any business is so important.
I think a lot of that boils down to having a good management, but also hiring the right people, which is super important. One of my favorite restaurants is Ruth Chris, and go to one here fairly often. And even when I was in the beginning, they just know and remember. I thought it was in their CRM. I thought they had a system, and they are specifically trained to remember, memorize, and know people's orders.
I love that.
So the one I go to, I went for my 21st birthday, and my server, it was one of his first days, and he's still there and I still go. So we watched each other grow up. So as soon as he sees my name come through, and pretty much by the time I sit down, there is a heavily shaken Tito's martini, which it's actually just straight vodka, really cold. Just there's no vermouth. It's just really cold vodka in a glass. But that is pretty much as I go to sit, he's pouring it out, and I'm like, oh, it just warms the soul. The vodka and the thought, but but it's just those little tiny things. Yeah. I've been to some clubs, it's those little tiny details. They have a TV screen, and they just say, "Hey, welcoming today, members who they know are coming in for lunch who have reservations." It just has their name or something there. It's cool. That's so neat.
You know guests too. If you know guests are coming. I remember walking into a club in Naples, and I walked in, and they had a little whiteboard, and it's "Welcome today, Gabe, and whoever I was with at the time. I think it was Wade, my buddy Wade." And they literally have both our names on the whiteboard. So easy to do. Membership director just has to take an extra couple minutes of her day to get everyone informed of who's coming to visit. Yeah,
seriously, it's all it is. That's all it is. I was so I've been drumming since I was younger, but I haven't drummed in years. But there is a cymbal company called Zildjian.
That's I was doing cymbal company. I don't think I could name any other one. That's the one. Right?
Sabian.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a couple others, but I was funny enough. I was at one of my Jack Daly, my sales guy friend. He was doing a public thing in Boston, and he goes, "Hey, you want to come? Enjoy and perform for my people?" I was like, "Oh yeah, this will be great." So everyone's going around the table. There's maybe 40 people, and this dude goes, "Oh, in Zildjian is probably about 30 minutes outside of Boston." This is where it was. So I heard this guy goes, "Oh, my name's Adam. I'm with Zildjian," and I was like, I broke my neck because I was like, "What?" So he goes, "Hey, we connected. Anytime you're in New England, come on by." So one day, we made plans. I went to Zildjian, got the tour. When I walked in, it was Zildjian welcomes Denny Corby, and I'm like, just 5 seconds on a computer is just mind blowing.
Took a picture of it and post it on Instagram or someplace too, I bet.
Instagram was not as popular yet, like a little bit, but Adam went directly onto my top 8. It was really, he jumped up. But no, I actually do have a photo. It's in my photos. I have it. I have like the whole experience. I got to go in and like listen to, I forget his name, but he was like the symbol guy. And he had to like test every symbol. He's like, oh, he's like, you hear this, right? I'm like, yeah, I can hear the difference, buddy. He's like, this one's definitely trash.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this one's, you can hear the, and I'm like, right, I know, that's why they hire you. I was like, what in the world?
Right.
Yeah.
Like when you're that good at what you do, if every tiny little detail matters and you start to pick up on details nobody else would know. Yeah.
You know, and I don't know why I thought about this, but going back to like the scent, you know, you should be able to almost like look at a person's face, and when they walk in, like you should, like if there's a smell, like you can't hide it. You know what I mean? Like you can see people's faces. Like if you're worried if your club smells, like just watch people walk in the door, especially guests. If you don't have any guests, invite a guest through a vendor. Hey, can you walk through the front door for me?
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Going like this, right? Like for a breath mint. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's the thing? If someone ever offers you mint or gum, take it.
Yeah, right. Definitely, 100%.
I always keep the Listerine spray in my bag, so it's everything. But
there were those breath strips for a while. I don't think those are a thing anymore, but like
they still are.
They are.
They still are.
Listerine.
I just don't like them because if it's too hot, they start to like.
Yeah.
Or sometimes like you don't realize like 2 or 3 stick together, and one's a nice hit. Yeah. It's like bath salts or smelling salts when you put that in. Wakes you up. Totally. Get you ready for a game.
Good thing when you're performing on stage too, the audience is at least 10, 20 yards from you, right?
I get real close. Anything else you want to talk about, bud?
Boy, I'm just excited for you and what you're going to bring to the show, because I think, I know that I took it to where I could, and there was a limit. And with the technology you're bringing, with the excitement, with the type of guests that you're going to bring, and the interesting banter, I think the show is going to a whole new level. So I'm really pumped, Denny. I'll be listening.
Oh, good. Yay. Yeah. Yay. Get those listeners up. It definitely is a challenge because it's, listening and seeing what you did and wanting to, maintain a certain level. It's going to be, it's very nerve wracking, not going to lie. But, it's kind of, I'm trying to take off what you did, which I don't know if this was the idea or what, but for me, it's, I have my notes, I have questions and stuff like that. But really I just want to have fun conversations. I think that's where it boils down. And it's just other, it's cool club professionals helping other cool club professionals. And that's kind of, all I really want is just those little nuggets, those little crumbs. And hopefully someone takes that little nugget and does something cool with it. Sends someone a handwritten note.
I can't wait to hear all the stories. We'll come back in a year or two just to see what's going on.
Oh boy, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. All right, sir. So where can people follow you? Where can people check you out? Where do you want people to check you out and follow you? What are your popular platforms?
YouTube.com/letsplaythrough. I'm sure Denny will hopefully leave a link down there as well in the show notes. You can kind of follow the travels. Again, a lot of times these days it's mostly equipment reviews, but from time to time we go to great places like Ireland. So love for you guys to join on the journey. And that's where to find me.
Awesome. Gabriel, Gilbreth. Dude, such a pleasure. This is so cool. Such a surreal moment for me. Very, very strange. Thank you so much for being on, and we will all see you soon.
Bye, Denny. Bye, everyone. Here's to membership success.
There you have it from the man, Mr. Gabriel Aloisi. Thanks for listening. Make sure you go over and check out and follow his journey and his channels. He has some really cool projects and things going on, and want to support him as much as possible. We have some amazing guests coming up in the next couple of weeks. And please follow us on the social medias over on LinkedIn and Instagram. We will be very active as we are going to be pumping out a ton of content from all of our amazing interviews and people here on Private Club Radio. Like I said, please be very patient with me as I am new to all this as well and open to any and all feedback. So please shoot me a message over on LinkedIn. I'm Denny Corby. You can do it on the Private Club Radio Facebook, Instagram. Get at us. We are at Gmail, privateclubradio@gmail.com. Look forward to hearing from you and continuing the legacy of Private Club Radio.